Hi, I'm April Rose, Witchy Wisdom's Saturday host. And this week's been about working on a book of shadows, what we put in it, and what we use to put them in. I use a hardcover notebook with 11 by 8.5 sheets. I do this is my first completed book of shadows. Before I had this one, I had a binder that I just put things in, and that system actually didn't work out for me. You would think binders would make things neater because you can rearrange the pages and put them in order of category, but no, I just made a mess out of it, and I never worked on it really past the first few months. And then years went by, and then the information in it was relevant because I had gone from being a more Wiccan influenced witch to just general eclectic pagan, working with various pantheons like Egyptian and Norse, and interest in Native American mythology, which are all things I'm still interested in today. But then from that, I went back to an atheist who practices witchcraft. So this was from when I was polytheist, eclectic, pagan, and there's a lot of stuff in here that's still great. Again, this is mostly writing, guided meditations that I found in books that I borrowed from the library or from friends that I had to return, and I didn't want to forget about them. I number the pages in the upper corners, so that I could go back after I finished it and write a table of contents, so it's easier for me to go back and reference things, figure out where I put things. And also when I finished, I made a bibliography of all the references that I used, books and websites, which I also wrote down at the bottom of each page. I don't know if you can see, so that I could go back and make that bibliography, or if I'm flipping through and want to see quickly where I got the information from. And that's been really helpful. I'm very glad that I did that and stayed organized. But for the most part, everything's just kind of thrown in here in no particular order. It's just in order of when I worked on it. So I actually don't consider this like an official book of shadows for me. It's more just taking notes in a fancy manner. And this is the one that I'm working on currently. Again, it's just a notebook that I decorated with fancy paper. I had some fancy paper, and I just glued it on because it looked cool with the potion bottles. This is pretty much the same format as the other one, numbered pages, and then where I got the information from at the bottom. When I'm finished, I'm about halfway done right now, this book. I'll make a bibliography for it of all the sources that I got stuff from. This one doesn't have so much meditations as it has information on witchcraft and spells and correspondences, and sigils and runes. So this is more like the practical side of witchcraft that I've been getting into. I haven't worked on it in a while because I got busy with school, but I'm hoping to finish it either this summer, by the end of this summer, or sometime winter of, at the end of this year, before 2013, just as a goal for me. Some people I know keep a book of shadows actually on their computer, like they have a file dedicated to that, and for some people that's just easier for them to type it in. Not everyone has the patience to write it down, or they feel like it just looks too messy if they don't like their handwriting. So some people prefer to keep it on the computer, but if you do that, definitely keep it backed up on an external hard drive, or a flash drive, also called a thumb drive, or both. on the computer and a flash drive and an external hard drive, because you don't want to lose all that research that you've done. That would be terrible, terrible. So if you're going to keep it electronically and not as a hard copy, you want to have lots of backups so that you don't lose it, or, because computers get viruses, or, a file might accidentally get deleted for some stupid reason. You never know what's going to happen. I also keep a separate tiny little notebook. It's just like a 5x7 spiral bound soft cover notebook for tarot cards readings that I do. I also did some rune castings a few years back, but I never really got into it, that I've also put in here. I usually put the date, what time of day I did the reading, and what deck I used, because I've had different decks over the years. And then I'll make like a little diagram of the spread that I did, because there's different ways that you can lay out the cards, and I'll write down what my query was, and then I'll number in the diagram so I know which card I turned over first, and then I'll have a numbers going down, and with each number which card it was, and sometimes how I interpreted it at the time, depending on how much time I had to devote to the reading. Sometimes I just write down the name of the card if I'm short on time. And this is just also for tarot. It's just a hardcover spiral bound notebook, about the same size page as my Book of Shadows. It's like 11 by 8.5 pages letter size. And this I started with my tarot interpretations, my own, because I started using the book that they came with less and less, which is, ultimately where you want to get at. You don't want to have to constantly reference the booklet or book that it came with. You want to start developing your own meanings, so that's what I just started to do. And then I forgot about it and got busy with school, and I haven't touched it in oh goodness, it's been 2 years. Oh god. Yeah, so I need to get back on top of that. And finish that, because I only got halfway through the major arcana before I got distracted and stopped using it. So that's pretty much what I have right now. You can make your Book of Shadows as fancy as you want. When I make my official Book of Shadows of these two combined and actually organized and pretty and calligraphic, I'm going to end up making my own book. I do bookbinding. See if I can find an example. I know I had one around here somewhere. Yes. I do bookbinding. I work at the my school's library, and they taught me how to do some basic book repair. And from that, I started looking online on how to do bookbinding, which, similar processes for the two. You need to know how a book gets put together. And so I do hardcover bookbindings. I haven't tried a whole lot of softcover with embroidered bindings, exposed bindings yet, but I want to try that sometime because they're super pretty. You can probably see I embroidered the crown, the little, stitching thing. It's holding together quite well, even though it's just a tiny little practice bit. I didn't use archival glue or anything, and I just use it as a sketchbook for my doodlings and such. So I hope that was helpful, and on what you might want to put in your Book of Shadows, on what might be a good use for it, and how you want to put it together. That's just what I do personally. If you want any more additional information or links on how to do bookbinding, either simple stuff or more advanced bookbinding, I'll probably put some somewhere below. And hope you have fun making your Book of Shadows.